And away we go. Another edition here, Daily Ticket, on a feel-good, beautiful day in the Delaware Valley. Football, Sixers and Lakers, late night Friday. Good afternoon. Sean Brace rolling with you. Sam Oshtry joining us again, consecutive Fridays. Busy weekend for Sam. Of course, you can find him at The Score. And I was just putting in my dang brain about, remember his damn Twitter handle, SOSHTRY on social. Sam, how we doing?
I'm doing great, Brace. We got another opportunity to watch these awesome Sixers tonight with no Maxey, Paul George running the show, and it's a late tip too. So what's better? What's better than a Friday night to do that?
Is Bronny playing tonight?
In the G League, he actually sold it out. South Bay Lakers sold out. Yep.
Yeah. Good for the kid, right? Like, good for do your thing, enhance your game at that level. God bless. If people want to go watch the kid play, that's cool. I don't know why I'm hating. I don't know why I got like a weird vibe about that when you told me that, but cool. People are want to be entertained by Bronny James, son of one of the greatest. I almost said the greatest basketball player of all time. Oh my goodness!
Watch it, watch it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying your guy is number one either. Just saying.
No. I'm not. I'm Team Jordan.
Oh, okay. Young buck. You don't meet too many of your age group that come out there and say with the enthusiasm.
I'm a dying breed. That's why you got to keep me around, because the Jordan as the GOAT is gonna die as my generation gets older. But I'll never go anywhere on that take.
Well, it's funny because I was expecting you to say Kobe, and I would have allowed you to say Kobe because Kobe is your guy, Lower Merion alma mater. But from the Jordan perspective, it is funny because I am diehard MJ, always will. But man, when you watch LeBron James just two nights ago drop 39, like, it is something to be considered. Like the fact that he is still doing it, still one of the best players in the league. Like, I'd start a franchise with him if I had to choose. He's 39 years old. And you got to give that the proper respect that it deserves. That's all I'm saying.
I never know where we're going to go when we do these Friday sessions, but I did not have Jordan LeBron GOAT debate on my bingo card. But I'll say, yes, LeBron, in terms of longevity, sure, like, no one can argue with him, but it's a completely different era. In terms of the height of their games, their absolute peak, nobody has and nobody will ever touch Jordan. And I got Kobe 3, by the way. So I got Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. Those are my top 3 of all time.
Literally opening up with Jordan versus Bron here on Football Friday. I love it. All right, Sam. Look, we got a lot to get to. Let's just go ahead and jump into what took place last night. First of all, great game. Went out for it. Was really excited. A little bit of a dud of a first half, but I kind of was telling everybody at the establishment, relax. Like, these teams can throw up points in a heartbeat. Everybody was saying at halftime, damn, I should have been on the under 53. I was looking at the under 53. I'm like, there's 21 points on the board. You don't think that they can get to 55? I didn't think 60 or hell, whatever the number was that it got to last night. 69, a matter of fact, excuse me. I didn't see that, but I was like, don't be cashing your tickets just yet. It's halftime. So it played out like that in the second half. A great fourth quarter. 2-point conversion comes up just short for the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore wins, but does not cover the 6. That was thumbs up for your boy right here. Final score 35-34. The question that I have for you to start, Lamar Jackson, do you think that he just literally locked in his third MVP trophy after last night's performance?
Yeah, it's hard to argue just because the quarterback play across the league hasn't been at the level we've seen in past years. Like, even if Mahomes and the Chiefs finish undefeated, like, that'll be a really interesting debate. I don't think they're going to finish undefeated, but like, I don't think you can give it to Mahomes. Like, in terms of the statistics, fourth quarter, Mahomes is way better, but Lamar Jackson has cleared Patrick Mahomes in pretty much every statistical category and has done more for his team, or his offense at least, this year. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. Like, Josh Allen still could make a case. Don't count out Joe Burrow. Like, he was right there neck and neck with Lamar Jackson. If the Bengals can go on an improbable run at this point and make the playoffs, then don't count out Joe Burrow. Right now, Lamar Jackson's in the lead. I don't really know how you would argue that. It's just interesting to me that it's such a different award than the NBA's award. And we're going to talk hoops later. But in the NBA, if you flame out in the playoffs, if you have poor playoff performances after winning the MVP, the voters will not reward you again and give you that award. Like Joel Embiid was never going to win an MVP, mostly because he's never going to play enough games, but also because we've seen him flame out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We've seen that with Lamar Jackson flame out in the playoffs. That doesn't matter. It is a regular season award, so technically that's the right approach. But in the NBA, if you have poor playoff performances consistently, you're not going to be rewarded with that MVP. We're seeing with Lamar Jackson right now. He's been so good in the regular season. That's not going to be the case.
That is a good point. You're right about that. And as you pointed out too, Lamar is front runner plus 175, Josh Allen plus 350, Mahomes 5-1, Jared Goff 7-1, Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts both tied at 12-1, which is an interesting number there. Jaden Daniels 12-1 as the MVP. Wow, did not see that coming at the start of this season. But okay, you want to put him there? That's fine. Those two teams will play, and that's my only take is two parts, but based around the same theme. And that is still plenty of football to be played. I don't think that you're going to see other players rise. So could be a Goff, could be Jalen, could be Saquon Barkley, who is not getting nearly enough attention in this market. I understand it's a quarterback award. I get that. But come on, man. He's number 2 as far as total yards from line of scrimmage. He has been the MVP for this Eagles team, as great as Jalen has played, as great as AJ has played. Bottom line is Saquon to me is the guy that is the engine of this squad. And he could very well be the MVP after it's 17 games played. I do believe that. I have a 50-1 ticket, full disclosure, but I do think there's still plenty of football to be played for other players to rise up to make it interesting. And on the flip side, I hate saying it, but it's the reality of the situation, especially with that position. And we're dealing with it right now because our head coach just took the podium and talked about an ankle injury for Jalen Hurts that nobody knew about. Injuries happen. There's still a lot of football to be played. No one wants to see Lamar get hurt, but man, he is a like you saw it yesterday, break the pocket run, running over fools. He doesn't get hurt often, but he was already dealing with a little bit of injury this year. I'm just saying he misses a couple games, could very well be what snake bites him at the end. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that doesn't play out. Lamar is balling, though.
Yeah, there's just no way to contain him. I mean, like one of his touchdown runs there, it was just like he looked like he was lost. It looked like he was going to get sacked, potentially have to go out of bounds. Somehow, it looks like the Bengals defenders, their D-line completely contained him on that right sideline, and he just sneaks past them. He's so elusive, so quick, and just goes up the sideline, gets in the end zone. He's unstoppable as a runner, and then he's obviously improved a lot as a pocket passer. So he's unstoppable. To your Saquon Barkley MVP point, there's another market to touch Saquon in where I threw this week actually. Plus 250 Saquon Barkley to win Offensive Player of the Year. Derrick Henry is the overwhelming favorite at minus 140. I don't see how that's not going to flip at some point this year. Like, I get Offensive Player of the Year isn't MVP, but Saquon is so much more valuable to his team than Derrick Henry is to his. Like, if you think about, take Saquon off the Eagles, they probably have a losing record. Nick Sirianni's probably already fired. The fans and the organization is complete in disarray at this point. That's how valuable and important he's been to the Eagles. Derrick Henry has been phenomenal as a rusher, don't get me wrong, but he's has the MVP. His quarterback is the MVP. He has a great defense. The offense as a whole has so many weapons. You can take Derrick Henry off that Ravens team, and they're still one of the best teams in the AFC. So I know it's not there's no word valuable attached to that Offensive Player of the Year award, but I think voters will reward who's been more valuable to the team, and especially as a pass catcher too. Like, Derrick Henry is not featured in that pass game like Saquon Barkley is. So I think you're going to see that flip, and at plus 250 now, I only see that going down. So I did grab that, but I would recommend everyone grabbing that for Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon.
That's a nice pull there. I have the only ticket I had in that preseason was AJ Brown at 45-1. I felt like that was a good number, and AJ could very well be one of the best wide receivers in the game at the end of the season. That market is deep, though, especially at that position. You saw last night Jamar Chase insert his name back into the top receivers in the game. Not to say he wasn't, but It's been a fun exercise with a lot of our Eagle fan friends over the past 2 weeks talking about top receivers in the game. And I still would take Justin Jefferson at number 1 over anybody and everybody in the game, but I would go AJ Brown too. But man, Jamar Chase is pretty damn special, and it's a tough conversation. It really is. And you saw what type of value he brings to the team, what he did last night. Great game though.
If AJ Brown didn't get hurt, he may very well be right there in that market with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Did you see what our old friend Doug Peterson said this week when he was asked about the Vikings? What's going well for Sam Darnold? Pretty much gave Sam Darnold no credit. He just said, "Well, Justin Jefferson's there." Classic Dougie P response.
It really is. Doug's he's an interesting dude, man. Doug
is
is definitely an interesting guy. All right. So look, the Baltimore Ravens come away with the victory, did not cover the number. Pretty funny stuff there. Just to update some stuff here as far as DraftKings is concerned with the futures market to win the division, because we were talking about it yesterday. The AFC North, now the Ravens are up to -300, Steelers plus 225, Cincinnati and Cleveland. You don't want to know. But on the flip side of that, going into yesterday's game, Cincinnati to make the playoffs was even money. Playoffs? As we sit here right now on DraftKings Sportsbook, up to plus 135. So even with the loss yesterday, people are still talking about how this team can run the table, final 4 weeks of the season, all that. That's all well and good. I'm not buying into that. If you ask me if Cincinnati makes the playoffs, it'd be a really tough discussion, but I would probably say no at this point in time. I don't think you can continue to, they have to almost play perfect ball on the way out. Are they good? At times, yes, but defensively, I mean, they leave a lot to be desired, especially last night, leaving guys wide open in the end zone. Aguilar and Andrews both open on that pass play. Like, defensively, they don't have it, and that's one of the big reasons why they are what they are at this point in time of the season.
And it's a shame because Joe Burrow is playing some of the best ball of his career, and he's not being rewarded for it with wins because, like you said, that the defense just has way too many mistakes and they're giving up too many points. I'm going to disagree with you, though. I think the Bengals are going to make the playoffs still. I mean, you just look at their schedule and look, like against the Ravens and the Chiefs, the two favorites come out of the AFC, they both of those could have very well been wins. Like both those two games could have been wins. They're not, obviously, and then the record is what it is. But their schedule is, they got the Chargers and Steelers, two tough opponents those next 2 weeks, no doubt, but winnable games nonetheless. And one of them's at home against the Steelers. Then they finish their season, the last 5 games. They got the Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, and Steelers again. Like the Cowboys, Titans, Browns, those are 3 teams who their seasons are pretty much over at this point. For the most part. And then Broncos, we'll see how they shake out towards the end of the year. And same with the Steelers. But that's a pretty easy 5-game stretch to close the season. And if they can rip off 5 wins, obviously a lot of other things have to go their way, which is why it's a risky bet. But I'm not counting out. Burrow's playing so well. I'm not counting out this Bengals team.
Yeah, look, they're 4-6 at this point in time. So you do the math and you go around the league and who's who and what's what. I just don't. It's not a perfect team, and that's what they're going to have to be down the stretch. Can they afford 1 loss? Yeah, you get to 9 wins, they could be knocking on the door. That could get them in. But I would probably at this point in time not take that wager. I would say the no, or not take the yes at plus 135. I would probably go to the no on minus 160. Now I wouldn't wager because I want no action on minus 160. But yeah, if you made me make a selection right now, because that's the big toggle boy for a lot of people, can Cincinnati still make the playoffs? I get it. Burrow's playing great, but I'm going to pass on that. I don't think that they do. We'll see though. We'll see. A lot of football to be played, as I said. Let's get to some football talk though, and we'll break it down with the Eagles and Cowboys here, just to let everybody know. DraftKings Sportsbook still showing a 7-point spread. Game kicking off. I got it wrong. I thought it was Fox's game. Apparently, it's on CBS.
So we got Tony Romo. It's better than Brady.
Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to Tom in the last few games.
You don't want to. You don't want to.
I
love as a player. Obviously, I love him as a broadcaster and how they handled that with Greg Olson, who I really liked. And I'm not the biggest Tony Romo fan, but he's been better this year. I'm glad it's a Romo game over a Brady game.
7.5. Apologize. We did have a bump in the line. We're up to 7.5. So I guess, Sam, the question for us today is how many is too many? You know, I get it, Cooper Rush, but I think he's 5-1 as a starter. And I'm not good. Look, that's a very bad football team. The Eagles, if they go down there and play like they did in the fourth quarter against the Jacksonville Jags, they should still win this football game. But 7.5, how many is too many to be given the Cowboys on the road in your mind?
I mean, it's tough because the Eagles haven't beat the Cowboys in Dallas since 2017. Like, it doesn't really matter their records. It's just a tough place to play, divisional rivals. Same thing. It's been the same case with Washington the last few years and the Eagles. Like, even when Washington has really stunk for the most part over the last few years, they're always going to play Philly tough. They're even the only team that beat them during that Super Bowl run in that initial part of the season. Like, it's just a divisional rivalry, and I don't really care who's at quarterback. Like, are we sure that Cooper Rush is that much worse than Dak Prescott at this point? Like, it's kind of crazy to say, but it's going to be a close game, I think, especially because I laid that number with the Eagles against the Jags last week at home. And look, I got killed. And at halftime, I was like, all right, we're dominating this game. We should be up by more. But it feels like we're going to pull away in the second half. And obviously they didn't cover because of a number of reasons, and AJ going out, some Sirianni decisions, whatever it was. So I don't feel confident laying this number with the Eagles against anybody at this point, especially not a divisional rival.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at too as well, to be honest with you, Sam. And last night, look, we were staring at a loss. You know, the Bengals were down by 7, and then they drive down and were able to get that last touchdown, and then ended up losing by 1. But yeah, that could have very well went the other way. And I bring that up just because of divisional opponent. And I thought that was too many points last night to be given to the divisional team, but it could have went either way. So maybe this one probably is in that same ballpark. But if you made me give you a selection at this point in time, I'm probably going to take the 7.5 with Dallas. I'm not lying to you. I'm not, but if you made me fill out a card and you wanted an answer on a ATS play between that game, I'm probably going to say Cowboys plus 7.5, just based off of the fact that it's a division game.
Also, Cooper Rush, like you talked about his record as a starter, 2022 was that season where he had like a 5 or 6 game stretch as a starter. And because Dak was out with, I forgot the exact injury, but Dak was out. And he ripped off a bunch of wins. Like he beat the Bengals, he beat the Giants, beat the Washington Commanders, and then beat the Rams to start 4-0 as a starter. And then if you remember, he had to come to Philadelphia in that 2022 season, and the Eagles won 26-17. So that was his only loss as a starter that year, was against Philly. But he has a decent track record being under Sendy.
We shall see. You know, look, as far as the games happening this weekend, I don't really feel too much juice from that game. But, you know, I'm excited to see the offense back out there. Of course, some of the bright spots on defense as well. So it is a big spot for the Birds, putting the spread to the side, you know, going down there to Dallas, getting that victory, putting it into that streak. And, oh, by the way, just starting this March, which is a huge deal for this team as far as the schedule is concerned with this division, with the division opponents coming up. Played well against the Giants. First game against the Cowboys here. Got the Commanders on Thursday night, short week. Going to really learn a lot about this team over these next, 7 days, 6 days, whatever it is. Yeah. Sunday to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days. Yeah. Well, I'm an idiot, though. I'm adding on days and all that. So anyways, we will figure out a lot about the Eagles up until that point in time, but I like their chances this weekend in Dallas. All right. Putting a bow on that one. Let's keep it moving. NFL Week 10 card. Sam Oshtry from The Score with us here this afternoon. Giants, Panthers. You getting up early, and do you have any interest in taking the Panthers plus 6.5 here?
I'm definitely not getting up early. I'll tell you that. To watch a London game, Giants, Panthers, no chance.
But, Germany game too.
Oh,
Germans.
Yeah. Thank you for the correction. Yeah. All right. Well, then maybe I'll get up. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm not getting up for that. Giants. I like the Giants.
Ooh, really?
Kind of cover that number. I know it's a big number. I feel like Daniel Jones is really like, this is an audition at this point for the rest of the season, not for the Giants, but for him to get a job somewhere else. And I think there's a lot of pressure. And I think, yes, he hasn't responded to pressure in his career a lot, but this is an opportunity for him to kind of show other teams around the league, like, what he can do with not a lot of weapons, a bad offensive line. I think they're going to kind of kill the Panthers at this point, who I just don't trust at all. At 40
Panthers are hot right now, Sam. Panthers are hot. They won last week.
They're hot. Yeah, Bryce Young back, but I'm not putting any stock in Bryce Young in Germany. 40.5 is a really, really low number. I kind of want to take the under on that, but it's just such a low number. I'd lean under. I don't know if I'm going to press that button though.
Interesting. Yeah, I would probably play the under more than anything as well, but I would think that that's probably a little bit of a square play for a lot of people out there.
Yeah,
We'll see. Doesn't mean square plays hit all the time. Not trying to come off as a overzealous sports gambler educator, but it's just the honesty on that. People see that, just like last night. That was a square play in my opinion because everyone sees 53 and they're like, oh man, Thursday night football, it should be the under. And it's like, those
crush.
offenses are pretty damn explosive. And you saw it exactly. I don't believe the offenses, the Giants and the Panthers or anything like those two yesterday. So we'll see on that one. All right. So the big game that has my attention, really curious where you're at on this one. Huge. They're all big, right? As we get closer and closer, we're at double digits now. We're in November, week 10. But man, this Commanders team and Steelers, this is a good game here. Of course, the Steelers coming off of the bye. The Commanders just played, look, they're 3-point favorites here. 45 is our total. I actually am leaning towards the Commanders here. I like DC to show us something, but I think Mark Henry Jr. was saying that he feels like this is a Steelers game. Tomlin's going to shine here, rookie quarterback. But where do you stand on this one? 3-point spread, 45 is our total, 1:00 kick.
I'm with Mark Henry there. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'd venture to say that Mike Tomlin is great off a bye. Similar with Andy Reid, these coaches that have been around a long time kind of figure out how to come off a bye, especially against the spread. I venture to say I'll get the numbers at some point, but I'd venture to say that Mike Tomlin's pretty good off a bye. Like you said, like Mark, to Mark's point, I'm right there with them. I think that the Steelers, their defense has been playing really well. I mean, lights out, almost shutting down a lot of opposing quarterbacks. They're going to throw a lot of looks that Jane Daniels hasn't necessarily seen this season. So I'm rolling with the Steelers in this one. Money line and the points.
Ooh, interesting. Big one as far as the injury perspective is concerned. Brian Robinson Jr., he missed the game against the Giants. As far as hamstring injury was concerned, was limited on Wednesday. I think he was out there today. So something to keep your eye on with that one.
He was upgraded. I got him in fantasy, so I've been tracking that. He was upgraded. Nice. So the hope is he'll be playing, which is important for them.
Absolutely. He's been balling this year. Common opponent last time out. Both of these teams play the Giants. As I said, the Steelers had the bye week. The Commanders did play last week against the Giants. 27-22 was your final score there. And then to the last time that the Steelers took the field, that was at home against the Giants. And 26-18 was the final score. Of course, both coming out on top. So common opponent right there. We'll see, but I'm really intrigued by that game. That's probably my number one game as far as this weekend is concerned in the NFL. Tough card, just like last weekend. You and I sat down on Friday. I told you I really didn't have a lot of great plays. The odds makers are damn good at what they do for a reason. We are at that point in the league where they know anything and everything about all these teams. I was able to sneak one away on Monday Night Football with the big spread. That's kind of where I'm at with some of these plays this week. Again, kind of square thinking, but for that one, I'm going to take the home Commanders team, and I think that they're going to prevail in DC. But you and I are going head to head on that one. Anything for you on the Bills and Colts 4-point spread? Bills favored on the road.
No, nothing for me on that. But I am. We're going to get down the card, but I am eyeing a divisional opponent for the Bills. That's my favorite play of the card. We can little tease there. We can get to that later. Ooh. Nothing on the Bills Colts. Colts are playing well. Look, I'm still really high on this Bills team. That was my preseason pick to come out of the AFC before the season. They still are, believe it or not. And so, yeah, I'd lean Bills to cover that for, but no real strong
no action. There. Understood. Minnesota and Jacksonville, disaster of a game. Has he been ruled out?
Last I saw, Trevor Lawrence was unlikely to play.
Correct. Yeah, I saw that as well. I assume that he is not going to play this weekend, and that's going to be a tough spot for Mac Jones.
Who's their backup? I haven't seen.
Mac.
Oh, wow.
Mac is back. Mac Jones.
I should have known that. Yeah, that'll be fun.
So Minnesota at this point in time, it's looking like it's a 6.5. It got as high as a touchdown at this game is in Jacksonville. 43 is our total. Keep your eye on that one as far as whether or not Trevor Lawrence will be playing. Broncos and Chiefs. Chiefs are 7.5-point home favorites. 42 is our total. One thing we know about the Broncos, really tough defense, but if the Chiefs are able to score 10 points, can the Broncos even get 3? Can the Broncos get on the board? with Bo Nix? That's a good question here. 7.5. I'd never want to be given over a touchdown, but Broncos are really a bad offense. And I think if the Chiefs are able to get it going like the Baltimore Ravens did, then this one could get ugly as well for the Broncos. 7.5. If I'm taking anything, I'm taking the home Chiefs.
I'm taking the under in that 42, another low number. But like you said, the Chiefs, they're going against a great defense, and Mahomes, he's been a turnover machine this year, cleaning it up a little bit the last couple weeks, but I think he's due against a great defense, a great pass defense too in the Broncos. Due for an interception or two. That's going to lower the Chiefs total. I'm sure Mahomes is probably like minus 140 or so to throw a pick, so I don't know if there's value there. But you could target that. I'm just going with the under because I don't think the Broncos are going to be able to score. Like you said, Bo Nix running that show. Not exactly a high-powered offense. And I think their defense is good enough where it's going to be one of these low-scoring games. And in a low-scoring game, it's never good to lay a long number with 7.5. So I kind of lean the Broncos if I'm taking the under. But the under is the play for me.
The great Sean Bernard checking in. Mike Tomlin 13-4 off of a bye week.
Thank you for fact checking for that.
Wow, that's pretty impressive too.
Look,
nice.
That's what I was saying. Like coaches like Tomlin, coaches like Andy Reid, you've been around the league long enough. You figure out how to strategize off a bye. You figure out the off days, the rest technique, all that stuff. And those coaches are great. So yeah, thank you for that, Bernard.
Last time out for the Atlanta Falcons, who are 6-3 on the season. They beat up on the Cowboys 27-21. Division game, just fired their head coach. Could we expect a bounce back spot by the New Orleans Saints here? Got Carr back. They have weapons, but man, it's been a bad season for the New Orleans Saints, who opened up the year 2-0. With two big victories where everybody was talking about them and shining a light in direction. They beat up on the Cowboys, and it has been just a disaster ever since then. I think they have lost 7 straight, and as I said, have removed their head coach. Do you expect a bounce back here? 3.5 Falcons favored on the road in the Dome.
Yeah, I do, because I love backing interim coaches. I don't know why, but I feel like the players, yeah, seriously, I feel like the players feel and take some responsibility for that.
Yep.
Like, it's not all on the coach. You're like, we're not playing up to our standard. That's why our coach got fired. Whether Dennis Allen's a good coach or not, spoiler alert, he's not. But it's like you have to take some responsibility for that as a player. And I think you get up for a game after. So that's not necessarily the interim coach doing anything. It's more the players and their attitudes after the game. So if you're going to give me over a field goal at home in that situation, now granted, I will say the Jets, I had the same theory with the Jets earlier this season when they fired Robert Saleh, and it did not work. They did not cover or win that first game back. But we have rarely do you have 2 opportunities in a season to try this theory out. So I'm going to go with the Saints.
Might have a few more coming up. We never know what happens with Doug Peterson.
That's true.
If the Giants do lose to the Panthers, Brian Dable might get canned. Trying to think of who else is in jeopardy. Yeah, look, I think Sirianni's good. That was one of my points too earlier this week where I'm like, all right, I think at this point in time with the Sirianni stuff, like we just got to let it cool. I know you're a big Sirianni guy, so
and I know you weren't killing him for last week, but I was prepared to defend him for last week.
No, that was again. That kind of pushed me to the edge. I know I'm a little all over the place here, but that kind of pushed me to where I'm at. Like, all right, look, that was a bad ending to the game, and I think we can all come to an agreement like the 57-yard field goal might not have been in their best interest, but Jake Elliott has made that kick before. Kickers are booming him. Like this whole, oh, he's cold, you're bringing him off the bench, like boo-hoo. It's what he's getting paid to do. And Jake Elliott normally puts that through the uprights. He missed. It is what it is. The whole going for it. Look, I'm a guy where in that spot against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are a bad football team, I want to put points on the board. Whether it's still a 2-possession game or whatever, I don't care. Put points on the board. It changes the demeanor. It changes their approach. Maybe you could pin your ears back, go after. They're a bad football team that could not move the ball against you. So I don't want to crush Sirianni. He's just aggressive. I would have done things differently, but at where I'm at now with this discussion, it's like, dude, he's going to be the head coach. Stop talking about it in a different light. Like, this is the guy from the end of the year. You got to live with it. You got to get behind him because all in all, like a win is a win. That's where I come from mostly, is a win is a win. Was it ugly at the end? Absolutely. Players need to take ownership on that a little bit too as well. Pick up the first downs, right? Your coach is trusting you to do this. Go get the first down. Make it happen. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but enough of this nitpicking and trying to fire the head coach. Let's finish the season strong and see what happens.
And the thing about aggression with head coaches is be consistent with it. And Nick Sirianni has been, and people are killing him. Like, one of the things people loved about him, and first off, Jeffrey Lurie likes aggressive coaches. We know that. Like, he likes to hire aggressive coaches. With Doug Peterson, he was an aggressive coach. You could say reckless, sure. Nick Sirianni, aggressive coach. People loved him in 2022 during that Super Bowl run for being aggressive. Like, people love aggressive coaches around the league until they're too aggressive and it doesn't work. Like, you can't be results oriented. Like, you have to be process oriented. And if you're going to be process oriented and constantly be aggressive, then I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem when you're inconsistently aggressive and
you're wishy-washy.
Exactly. And you're kind of just reckless. Like, Dan Campbell is aggressive and people love him for that. People get up there and toot his horn all the time because of how aggressive he is. And that works a lot of the time when you have that type of offensive talent. But then in the NFC Championship last game, it didn't work. Eagles have the offensive talent to be aggressive. Yep. A few times it hasn't worked this year, and that's fine. But I still trust Jalen Hurts, Saquon, AJ Smitty, all those guys. A great offensive line when Dallas is back. Like, look at that talent. Like, I want a offense that talented to be aggressive. So that's why I don't have a problem with it. I don't get people killing him for these decisions. The only thing that I had a problem with from that Jags game is when you go for it on the 4th and 1, which I don't have a problem going for it, 4th and inches, really. Don't abandon the tush push. Like, I know it didn't work a couple times, and the Jags had a good plan for it. Don't abandon it, though. Like, it's such a great play. And even when it doesn't work, it is a high percentage. Don't abandon the tush push and try to get cute. But again, I don't know if that was a Kellen Moore call, a Nick Sirianni call in terms of the play call. That was my only problem from that game, was if you're going to go for it on 4th and inches, which I like, use the tush push and don't abandon such a great play.
Yeah, nail on the head there because of the offensive firepower, right? Like, you hear some of these coaches are on television, former coaches go, I wouldn't have done that. Like, yeah, but did you ever have Saquon Barkley in your backfield and Jalen Hurts at quarterback and AJ Brown out there at wide receiver? Like, we're talking about some of the best players. Lane Johnson, who is clearly the best at his position. Like, come on, man. Put yourself in Nick Sirianni's shoes, and you're going to be aggressive trying to win it. But I just felt like against the Jacksonville Jags, I would have took the foot off the gas a little bit, put points on the board, give my team a little bit of a breather. Again, that changes the approach for the Jags more than anything. Like, all right, now they start to feel a certain type of way. We got to score. We got to score. I like my chances with the defense. I like the fact that, you know what, you're putting them in a spot where they can go and think one-dimensional. Like, hey, they're not running the football. They got to get points aboard. Let's go. Let's get after it. Bad things are going to happen for them when they want to go ahead and throw the football over the field. Unfortunately, it didn't play out like that. But enough of the firing Sirianni every day. I just, and then today with the press conference, all right, like, he should know better. He's got to be better around the microphone.
We talked about that last week. He is not media trained at all.
Like, come on, Nick.
I know his PR guy said, "What are you doing, man?" He just rolled his eyes like, "Come on, come on."
Yeah, and he's like, "No, it's rest." It's like, keep it moving. That's what we're doing here.
It's concerning though. Like his ankle, it's a concern. Like, obviously we know he's an ankle thing. He's gonna play. He looked a little banged up towards the end of that game. You saw him he wasn't limping a little bit, but you could see he got a little dinged up towards the end of that game. And that's what bothered him last year and that's why he struggled down the stretches, because he didn't have that mobility and he didn't have that escapability to get out of the pocket and make plays with his legs. And when you force him to stay in the pocket and be strictly a pocket passer, he's going to throw turnovers. He doesn't see the field as well as some of these other guys. So it's a little bit of a concern. It's funny that Sirianni leaked it like that. We'll see how well he's moving this week, but it's definitely on our radar.
All right. I want to get to some other things with you. So real quick on the card, I got the 49ers and Bucks. I do like the Niners here. I know it's a big number, but I like this Niners team coming off of the bye, get McCaffrey back. Their backbone of the operation on the offense. I hope he's healthy. I really do mean that. Hopefully he's healthy this week. Let's put it that way too as well. He gets out there and he looks like the Christian McCaffrey that can go and score 3 touchdowns in a game. Bucks are down. I watched that game against the Chiefs in great detail. they have to work really hard to get points on the board to move the football even very few yards. Creative play calling, I'll give them the credit. Well, it's a movement, dumping to the tight end, getting the running back out. Like I was impressed with how they were able to do it. But if 49ers are able to hit the ground running, I think that they're going to cover this number with ease. Tough one, though, 6.5 on the road in Florida. But like I said, bye week for the 49ers. I'm going to back them here. I like the Niners in a big way. You?
Yeah, don't have too much on this game, but I'd lean right there with you with the Niners. I'm interested to see how much Christian McCaffrey's featured in the offense. Like, I can't really see him getting more than 10 to 12 carries in his first game back. I've been looking all day actually to see if when books are going to post his rushing props. They haven't yet, but it'll be interesting to see what they are. I'm really just watching the Niners see the new dynamic and new layer that Christian McCaffrey is going to bring, because we know he is, like you said, the backbone of that offense, and they've really been struggling offensively because he hasn't been there. So I'm just interested to watch that game. I'd lean the Niners, but I got no play.
All right, you said you had a play in the AFC East. So let me guess. It's either the Patriots or Bears, the Jets or the Cardinals, or the Dolphins and Rams on Monday night. Something is telling me that you have a play in this Jets and Cardinals game.
You know me. You know me
Boom.
well.
Boom. How about that? Where are we going?
I'm
2-point spread. 2-point spread. Sorry, let me set the table.
Spread.
2-point spread. Jets favorite, 46.5. Game being played in Arizona, 425 kick. You are doing what here, Sam?
I'm back in the Jets. And I'm back on this Jets train. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm doing it, but I'm back on this Jets train. They haven't played since last Thursday night, and we talked about that Thursday night game last Friday. Coming off extra rest, which Rodgers needs, and I think is going to help him. That when you're his age and you can't move around the pocket as well as he has this year, that extra rest is going to help. The Cardinals are really hot. They won 3 in a row. Our guy Jonathan Gannon up there is running a good operation. Kyler Murray's playing well. Marvin Harrison isn't featured as much as people would have liked in that offense, but they look pretty good offensively. I'm just back in on this Jets team, and sometimes like the Cardinals are at home and have won 3 games in a row. Like, why are the Jets favored? Sometimes a line tells you what you need to know. Similar with the Jets last game, and I think the Jets are gonna win this game by at least a field goal. So I'm backing them, and I think the Jets are gonna rally off some wins. I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs. I think they're gonna compete for a playoff spot down the stretch of the season, and it feels like a letdown spot for the Cardinals after such a hot stretch.
Interesting. I know Mark Henry Jr. is on the opposite side of you. He likes the Cardinals. Cardinals are the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team. 1 minute I give them praise, the next day they get smacked. They won that
3 in a row though. They've won 3 in a row.
They have played well down these last 3 weeks. And that game against the 49ers in the second half, that was really impressive. And then they get smacked the next week. But putting that to the side, the one thing that Mark Henry Jr. had was that the Jets were probably reading the good press clippings over the last week or so. So he thinks that might work against them.
This was one of Rodgers' biggest week of his life. If everyone saw what happened on Tuesday, we might get MVP Rodgers back. I mean, this was Rodgers' Super Bowl. Forget the actual Super Bowl in February.
God.
Tuesday was Rodgers' Super Bowl. His guy, I mean, we're not going to get political, but his guy RFK is going to be, who he almost was his presidential candidate. He's going to be in office. This is Rodgers' Super Bowl. I mean, if there's ever a game after an event that would get Rodgers up for a following game, it's this.
Oh my God.
I mean, how are you not going to back Rodgers after the week he had? Best week of his life.
RFK. In the White House, he's going to be leading the charge. Oh my goodness. I love this country. All right. Yeah, you're right. Look, hey, it's going to be a good game. It's definitely got my attention. 425 kick. Is that the game of the week on Fox?
I believe so. I don't know what else it would be from that 425 slate.
Well, look, I don't know. Yeah, look, CBS has got that 425. They must have the doubleheader. So I would imagine that's what's happening there. But whatever. It's going to be a good game. 2-point spread there. We got the Lions and Texans. That should be also good on Sunday Night Football. And then, as I said, Dolphins and Rams. Rams at this point in time, point favorite at home, 50.5. Hopefully Monday night is a damn good football game. All right, let's get on over to the NBA and talk a little Sixers and Lakers tonight.
Do we have to? Do we have to talk to Sixers?
Lakers 7-point favorites. Nobody playing for the Sixers. Is this a rout? Do you expect the Sixers to play a little bit better here? Your thoughts on this one?
No, this is a rout. This is actually my favorite play of the NBA card. Look, Anthony Davis is back for the Lakers. Their defense has been really bad. their perimeter defense, they're just letting guards get into the lane with ease. D'Angelo Russell doesn't defend. Austin Reeves is a suspect defender. LeBron, as good as he's been at his age, he's not really playing defense at this point. But Anthony Davis should be back. He's probable. He missed the last game, but he should be back. And I think JJ Redick called out D'Angelo Russell and really the whole team's effort after last week. I think you're going to see a much stronger effort at home from Los Angeles against just a depleted, bad Sixers team that really has no firepower. You're going to have Paul George. You're going to run everything through Paul George. He's really your only crater on the floor tonight. If you want to count Kelly Oubre, sure. But obviously no Embiid, no Maxey. I think this is a rout for Los Angeles.
Yeah, I don't think many people would disagree with you on that one. Ugly spot. This season could not have started worse for the Sixers.
Just a disaster.
Not even 10 games in, and all three of the big-time players have missed multiple games. Even when Joel Embiid returns, he's not going to be in there for the NBA Cup on Tuesday. Some don't care about that. I would just want to see him out there. And even when he returns, Sam, we're going to have to go through the same song and dance. He's got to get accustomed to running. He's got to be in playing shape, blah, 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 blah. And then he might not play back-to-backs. Like, I'm so down on the start of this team and the franchise as a whole right now.
I mean, let's go through it. Like, Joel Embiid or the Sixers organization investigated twice. Joel Embiid gets a tech from the bench. Joel Embiid pushes a reporter. Another investigation, suspension for Joel Embiid. Paul George is injured in the preseason, misses the first few games, comes back, plays the Clippers his first week, gets booed, complaining about getting booed by Clippers fans. Tyrese Maxey gets injured. I mean, there's literally, you could not script a worse start to the season than the Sixers have had. I do think that Joel Embiid is coming back for the NBA Cup, though. He's going to be back on Tuesday against the Knicks, right?
That was originally reported, and then I think somebody backed it off. That's a good question. I thought he was back, and then last night, because I was doing some reads for DraftKings for the NBA Cup, they're doing a big push this year, and I read that he wasn't going to play in that game, but we'll see what happens. Eventually he's got to get in there and start playing, and I would hope that the Sixers are able to get a couple of wins, but if they don't get it corrected soon, like every time that Joel Embiid takes the floor, he's going to have to get them a victory. Like, they can't afford to lose games. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to miss the playoffs because we know with the play-in tournament and all that. But, man, like, this is ugly. This team could very well be a 500 ball club after it's all said and done this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. To your point, you hit it perfectly. The margin of error for the Sixers now is so slim, especially in the games that Joel Embiid's playing. And before the season, part of this plan was like, we're going to need to get Paul George rest. They don't just have one injury-prone guy in Joel Embiid. They got two. Like, Paul George is an injury-prone guy. They wanted to get him healthy for the playoffs. So he was supposed to rest a lot too. And then it's like, how are you figuring this out? When to rest Joel, when to rest Paul George. Now, Max is going to be coming back from an injury. Will be out at least 2 weeks, but it's a hamstring, so you want to be careful with that. It's just like their margin of error in the games that Joel Embiid does play is razor thin. Well, what I will say is why I'm a little bit optimistic is the East does not look good at all. I mean, you got the Celtics, obviously the Cavs are playing really well. Beyond them, like the Bucks, who are another contender with the Sixers, off to a really poor start. Chris Middleton coming back should help that, but I don't think that much. I don't think the Bucks are going to soar up the standings anytime soon. The Magic without Paolo Banchero for a while, they're going to go down the standings. The Knicks, I have questions about the Knicks defense and their bench, of course. They haven't looked great to start the season. So the East is just not a great conference, which is why I'm a little optimistic that they can figure it out come when Joel Embiid is ready and healthy and Maxey and somehow those three guys are on the floor. But it's just been an absolute disaster for the Sixers to start the season. There's nothing, like, I literally could not think of a worse start to the season unless one of these guys was out for the year. It's been a disaster. And to when Joel Embiid's returning to that point, like, how funny is it that the Sixers suddenly said that he's healthy the first game when he could be suspended after his suspension was announced? Like, come on. Like, it's just everything about them is a joke right now. It's a comedy show over there. They're an unserious basketball organization at the moment, and it's embarrassing. And look, you were saying Joel Embiid's not going to play back-to-backs, which he has said his first week back They got the Knicks on Tuesday at home, and then they got the Cavs on Wednesday at home. So if he's not playing against the Cavs, that's an automatic loss. I think even if he's in the lineup, but without him, it's obviously a loss. It's just already he's getting back. He's only going to play one game. It's just there's nothing else to say about it. It's been embarrassing.
Yeah, so the reports I'm seeing right here, there are a bunch of outlets that are saying he is back on Tuesday. That would make sense because that would be the third game. They play Sunday against the Hornets. Tonight's the second game, of course, and then Sunday the Hornets. That would be 3 games. I don't know what article I read yesterday, but there was somebody that walked that back. So putting that to the side, we'll just assume he plays on Tuesday. To your point, correctly pointed out, he's gonna miss the Cavs game on Wednesday. And Sam, that to me is probably the worst out of all of the things that have taken place this year with Joel Embiid. The fact that he opened his big mouth saying, I'm not playing back-to-backs. That's when everything started going wrong. You can't say that. You cannot say that. That was stupid on Joel Embiid to put that out there. Like I just from everything, from the fans' perspective, the people that spend money, the NBA execs, the people that are doing no one cares about that sort of thing. I get it. Joel Embiid should have never said those words ever.
And that could be, I have to look at the schedule, but that could be a Wednesday night ESPN tip, Cavs Sixers, because that's a marquee game for the NBA and for both those teams. Like, can we walk that back though? Like, I get the sentiment of him not playing back-to-backs for most of the season as he's playing. Can he walk that back and just play on Wednesday? Because if he's healthy enough to go Tuesday and he's conditioned enough to go Tuesday, why can't he play Wednesday too? You're not upping your injury risk by playing on Wednesday as well. When your first game of the season after not playing ball for a while since the Olympics is on Tuesday, you can play again on Wednesday. You're not increasing your injury risk. You're just not. Like, if he's well conditioned, which he should be if he's coming back, and if he's healthy enough to play a basketball game on Tuesday, just forget this back-to-back thing for at least his opening week of the season, because his season started later than everyone else's. And just play back-to-back. Play against the Knicks and the Cavs, 2 teams that are contenders in the East this year. Play it on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then see how you feel.
I agree. I think he can because of everything, the way that everything has started, and no one would bat an eye if he did play back-to-backs. It would just, you know what? It would probably be perfect for the organization, right? Wait, you just said he wasn't going to play back-to-backs. Now he's playing back-to-backs. So what is it? It would be perfect.
Well, they've lied to everyone 10 times. So what's another lie?
And Nick Nurse talking about how it was precautionary for Maxey when he left the game. Like, dude, he could barely walk, and it was precautionary. Anyway,
it is interesting. Like, it's obviously we're seeing with Jalen Hurts too, where they're saying it was a rest on the injury report, and it was obviously an ankle thing. Like, how protective teams are of people's injury status. Like, if they're going to be out, they're going to be out. I get from a competitive advantage, you don't want your opponent to know that. But if they're going to be out, like, they're going to be out. Like, be honest on the injury reports. Be honest with the media about someone's injury status.
You're right about that. All right, we'll get you out of here on this one. It's a rematch. Did we get this NBA Finals 4 straight years? Was it 4 straight years, Cavs and Golden State, right? Was it 4?
2016, 2017, 2018, and 2015 going back. Yeah, 4 straight.
4 straight years. Good grief. That's crazy. Somewhat of a change. Steph's still there, but Cleveland obviously does not have LeBron James. Still dominating this year, 9-0, best start in franchise history at home, hosting the Golden State Warriors. Warriors with a big victory on the road in Boston on Wednesday night. Really intriguing game here. 4-point spread for Cleveland at this point in time on DraftKings Sportsbook. Sam Oshtry from The Score, your bread and butter when it comes to hoops. Where are you going in this one? 231's our total. Did the Cavs remain perfect in your mind?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't think the Cavs remain perfect. They should have lost a couple other games, including they won on a buzzer against the Bucks the other night. This Warriors team, they've been phenomenal defensively, and they go 12 deep. Like, they have so many different guys that can just come in and contribute on both ends. Like, even Buddy Hield, when he's in, they're doing a good job hiding him defensively. And I know Sixers fans are furious to hear that name and how well he's playing. But, like, he's shooting the hell out of the ball. They're playing phenomenally defensively. And then even without Steph, they went 3-0. Like, that's really impressive. I'm not completely bought in on the Warriors being a contender, but their defense and just their communication and connectivity, they're really fun to watch defensively. I think they're going to beat the Cavs tonight, who I'm really high on. Before the season, I was really high on. I said Evan Mobley could be a potential All-NBA candidate. I'm still not quite there yet so far this year, but he's right there with as an all-star to me. They're putting the ball in his hands so much more, letting him run the break in transition. He's been the ball handler in pick and roll situations. Almost not quite as much as he's been a screener, but more than you would expect, more than he was last year. They're playing with more pace in Kenny Atkinson's system. Again, their defensive numbers are phenomenal as well when you have Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley on your back line. This Cavs team has been really impressive. They're a legit, this isn't like a fake regular season thing. They're a legit contender in the East, and probably at this point, to me, the biggest threat to the Celtics. But I've been so impressed with what I see, with what I've seen from the Warriors, that I think they're going to cover that +4.
Yeah, they can win both ways, defensively, offensively. Tight games, blowing teams out. Cavs are for real, and I like what they've been building as well. I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. The bigs down low, as you pointed out, Mobley, great draft pick. Jared Allen's playing well, but we'll see. Tonight, I'm going to lean with the Warriors, and I'll take the 4 because they are the better defensive team. This is a big spot. They're going to go in there, man. The hype is there. The matchup is being built up. Undefeated team, so why not a little extra incentive to go in there and give them their first.
This is an awesome NBA slate down the board. We got Suns, Mavs, you got Knicks, Bucks, and the Sixers, Lakers could have been a marquee game, but obviously it's an awesome Friday night slate. Let me ask you, I know we got to get out of here, but let me ask you a bigger picture NBA question. You're seeing a lot of people talk about the 3-point shot, and they want to not completely outlaw the 3-point shot, but how they're saying how many teams are attempting threes is bad for the sport. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, it's definitely a little watered down. I am not a guy that wants to change something every single year, ban this, change that, rule this. But they are in an interesting spot because it comes down to the almighty dollar, and that's advertising. That's money, that's ratings. And if the ratings are going down, then maybe you do need to make a change. But I don't know what it's not an easy fix, because whatever it is, you're going to completely change the way the game is played, obviously, and just fundamentally changing the way the court, like some people want to remove the baseline or the corner 3, which is crazy. They want to extend the 3-point line. I don't know. I heard somebody say that you can only make 23s in a game, kind of like that.
And then just cut it off and only shoot mid-range.
Like beer league softball, you can only hit a few home runs. It is to me. Yeah, I am like, I tune into opening night and I watch the Celtics shoot 53 pointers. Like, come on, man. It's a little much, I would like to see a little bit tighter, but it's the way the game is. So when you ask me that question, my first reaction is I'm not a guy that wants to change something. But if you told me, hey, this is 3-4 straight years where ratings are declining, you got to do something. What do you do? I'm with people. Yeah, you got to make a change to the 3-pointer, because it's just not a good watch when these guys are just bombing threes.
Yeah, I'm like really sick of the conversation, and I brought it up because I wanted to hear your opinion, but the whole conversation has pissed me off because, number one, it's a 2-prong issue when you talk about the ratings. First, the ratings have been declining for a while in the NBA, and when you look at how that affects, like you said, advertising dollars, they just got the biggest media rights deal in the history of their league. A monstrous media rights deal from 3 different network/streaming organizations. And when you look at that, the reason is because they don't take into account linear TV ratings anymore for the NBA. The linear TV ratings don't matter because the NBA is a league that attracts a completely different audience, not completely different, but a different audience than the NFL, where it's a social media league to a degree. Like, the drama sells, like that's part of the league. Like, repurposing these clips of dunks and threes and step backs and cool highlights and putting it on social media and having the conversation be about that's part of their viewership and part of their advertising dollars. So linear TV ratings don't matter as much. But in terms of the conversation about the product and the 3-point product, like, people complaining about it now, did they like it better when people were just shooting mid-range shots and teams were playing through the post and all that? Like, I'm a mid-range guy. Like, I'm the king of mid-range when I play pickup hoops. So, like, I love the mid-range, and I love, like, Kobe was a mid-range guy. DeMar DeRozan I love watching. Brandon Ingram even I love watching. But you can't tell me that that's more exciting basketball, watching people operate from the mid-range and play through the post, than shooting these array of step-back threes. Like, everyone remembers Steph Curry in the Olympics when he got incredibly hot and was drilling like 4 or 5 straight improbable threes. Like, that's fun basketball. Watching step-back threes is fun basketball. And the last point to it is, like, how you're generating these threes matters. Like, if you watch these games, people aren't coming down the floor and just jacking up threes like in transition or bad shots. For example, the Celtics, who were shooting more threes than anyone and really started this conversation from opening night, but really from their production from three last season. They're generating threes because they have great individual creators. Like all those guys can create for themselves, get in the lane, bring two defenders to the ball, drive, kick, attack closeouts. And that's how they create threes, because everyone on the floor can shoot the ball and they play this spaced out offense. That's fun, exciting basketball. I don't care what people say. That's fun, exciting basketball. So I don't have a problem with that, and outlawing that because a team does it well, and a lot of teams are doing it well, I don't have a problem with. Like, it's an exciting version of basketball, and I feel like all the people complaining haven't really, like, don't remember what it used to be and are complaining about something just to complain about it.
No, I agree. I agree with that. And like I said, if this is years and things are moving and you need to make a drastic change, I would look at that. But at this point in time, I'm definitely not one of these guys that needs to change something just for the sake of changing. So
I just had to get that off my chest.
I like it. I like it. Bring it to the table here on a Daily Ticket on a Feel Good Football Friday. Sam Oshtry, great job across the board. We hit on NBA. We hit on NFL. And the beautiful thing is, because coming up next, the big brains, Joe Tanzi, Mark Henry Jr., and Ryan Beef Coyle are going to talk college football. So we got you covered right here on The Gambler. Sam will continue to find you at The Score and all things socials. And once again, you can find Sam at SOSHTRY. SOSHTRY. I don't know why I struggle with that. Why do I struggle with that? It's just your first initial and your last name.
It's a tough last name.
Do I struggle with that? I have no idea. Sam, you are the best. Thank you for hopping in on a Football Friday. Good luck on all those plays. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here to The Gambler. Coming up next, the big brains in college football. I'll talk to you. Peace.